Welcome back to Nowhere Near Done. Today's conversation is one that completely challenged the way I've thought about food, exercise, and taking care of my body. Like so many women, I grew up trying to eat less, exercise more, and somehow earn my food. And then perimenopause happened, and suddenly the things that had always worked before weren't working anymore. If you've ever felt frustrated by the changes in your body, confused by all the conflicting nutrition advice online, or wondered why you're working so hard but not feeling your best, I think you're going to love this conversation. Today, I'm joined by menopause nutrition coach Kristin Collins. We talk about everything from protein and strength training to intermittent fasting, GLP-1 medications, metabolism, and why so many women have spent decades underfueling their bodies without even realizing it. But what I loved most about this conversation wasn't a specific nutrition tip or workout recommendation. It was the mindset shift. Kristin talks about learning to fuel your body for your workouts instead of working out to earn your food. That one sentence stopped me in my tracks because this season isn't about shrinking ourselves anymore. It's about building strength, protecting our health, and creating bodies that allow us to keep doing the things we love for decades to come. Whether you're just beginning to navigate perimenopause or you've been in it for years, I hope this conversation gives you practical tools, hope, and maybe even permission to think about your health in a completely different way. Here's my conversation with Kristin. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Sara.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you started coaching.
Well, perimenopause came for me.
I understand
as it
that.
does for all of us at some point in our lives. So
Right.
that's basically my story, like hit early 40s, body started changing.
Mhm.
Thought I was doing all the right things. I now know I was probably suboptimally fueling myself, and working out too much or not
Mhm.
moving as much as I thought. But anyway, went to the doctor and said, hey, this is going on and I don't like XYZ right now. And I kept getting the same answer. I kept going, well, that's just how it is. Yep, that's normal.
Mhm.
And yes, like great for letting me know, oh, it's perimenopause. Like they did say that.
Okay.
But I also, started learning, oh, wow, how long perimenopause can last. It can last, between like 3 and 10 years, depending when you start. And I was like, I don't want to feel bad for years.
Right.
So, I did what we all do. I Googled. I basically started learning how much nutrition,
Mhm.
especially eating enough to fuel my body, makes such a big difference in this time because of course I started doing what everyone else did, like getting on the scale, it's up, you immediately slash calories, and
Mhm.
it just set off this chain of events. Once I started learning more, I became just so passionate about food and talking about how to adequately fuel your body and to kind of start unwinding diet thinking that,
Mhm.
I'm 54, grew up in the 80s, like the snack wells, the slim fast. I mean, I've had friends on and off Weight Watchers since high school. And like, it was just, and that was normal. Like that's what we were taught. I was not in the wellness space at all before that. I was a PR spokesperson. I'm an actor here in Chicago. And I just
Okay.
became so passionate that I was like, I'm getting certified a coach. If
Right.
I can help one woman feel
Mhm.
better in her body, I'm going to do that. So that's kind of how it all started for me. And now it's 6 years later
Mhm.
and, working with women and talking to everyone who will listen about why we need to stop thinking diet at this stage in our life and start thinking how to best support ourselves
Mhm.
to live well for the next, 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it. And I'm so grateful for you and other women like you getting this information out there is so important. And you've kind of touched on it, but so many women feel confused and unsupported in this
Yeah.
time in our life. And I think it's just lack of understanding, lack of information. What do you think?
I think it's both. I think it's lack of information because we were never taught how to eat. I think women who are hitting perimenopause now, or who've been through it, we were only ever taught how to diet. And so we're not supporting our hormones in the best way that we
Mhm.
possibly can. And I also think there's almost like too much information at the same time, right? Social media,
Mhm.
everyone's an expert because,
Yeah.
we're growing up. I know you're like, oh, it's on TV. It's true. And we're not necessarily living in those times anymore. Like it's like, oh, maybe it is, but maybe it's opinion.
Mhm.
Maybe it's, there's like, I find it overwhelming,
Yeah.
all the stuff out there. And it seems like, of course, it's also now wellness is such a big business. And
Mhm.
I'm always like, what are they selling at the end of the pitch? Like, let's pay
Yeah.
attention, because here's the thing, being really healthy and living in your body is boring. Like, it's really hard to sell, let's eat 3 meals a day, drink water, go to bed early, and walk. You know
That's
what I
so
mean? Like, you're
true.
not gonna make money off that. So
Mm,
we wrap it up in so much fancy stuff, where really those really boring things
mm.
are your bedrock and can get you farther than anything you might be purchasing
Yeah.
supplementally, in any way or form, like, will do for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of leads into like with
Yeah.
all of this information and all the simplicity of what it is that you need
Yeah.
to be doing to feel your body. I think the conversation around GLP-1s has become like a really big conversation.
Yeah.
I talk about my own personal experience with
Yeah.
it. I would love to hear your take on this.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
We can't not talk about it, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
first of all, I want to say anything I'm about to say is my opinion. I am not a doctor.
Yeah.
I do think we should be getting medications, and GLP-1s are medications, even though you're going to see potentially someone like me with a code and you can go buy it, pretty easily.
Uh-huh.
So that's one thing I think, it's a part of a toolkit.
Mhm.
I firmly believe I have clients who use them and have been very successful, and it has changed the game for them, but it is just one little tiny thing. It is not the whole thing. I
Mm.
think for women, considering a GLP-1, I would really hope they have their basic habits in
Mm.
line first before adding it, that they're eating 3 meals a day, that they're getting enough nutrients, from food, that they're strength training to protect that lean muscle that
Mm.
is imperative for women. So you're going to be able to enjoy whatever benefits the GLP-1 gives you, whether it's anti-inflammatory. I'm reading so much. Like, I just saw someone talk that it's more cardiovascular medicine than a weight loss medicine, because
Mhm.
people who lose weight with it and also people who really don't lose weight with them are seeing the same cardiac benefits. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's so much when it comes to the non-weight loss benefits that we're
Yes.
still learning what
Mhm.
it's going to be. I think you want to be checking in with your mental health if you're taking them too, because it does dampen it's an appetite suppressant. So I
Mhm.
think if you have a history of really liking that hungry feeling because you've been dieting and this to you translates to healthy, you're going to
Mhm.
want to pay attention to that, because you don't want to be, losing weight is not the end all be all. If you're losing muscle, if you're nutrient
Mhm.
deficient, if you're having vitamin deficiencies, if you're developing osteoporosis, you know? So I think it needs maybe a little bit more care, because I also do know women who are using them to lose 10 pounds to go to a wedding,
Mhm.
which I'm
Right.
like, oh, ooh, that's where I get really nervous
Right.
inside when I hear those stories.
Totally. Yeah. The
Yeah,
scale really isn't a great reflection of your health and what's going on inside your body.
correct. It's
Yeah.
literally your gravity on earth. That's all
Yeah.
your scale tells you. It doesn't tell you, right, your hormones or your muscle density or, how great your bones are.
Yeah. I'd love to dive into your
Yeah.
expertise in terms of that nutrition piece.
Mhm.
If I was a client, like
Yeah.
what is it that you take into consideration and how do you move forward with somebody who is on this journey and trying to optimize their health at this point?
Right. So when a woman comes to me, I do have them track their food at first for informational
Mhm.
purposes, because a lot of us aren't really aware from a fact standpoint what we're eating and the balance of what we're eating. I don't expect someone to weigh and track and log for the rest of their life. But this actually it taught me, taught my client what a serving is, how much I need. And a
Mhm.
lot of women, protein is something that they drastically undereat. It's
Mhm.
also difficult to start, like, you don't want to go, if you're someone who's eating 40 grams a day. For me to tell you need 100 grams a day, you can't go there fast because protein, like though you need to work up, it's like lifting weights. You're not going to go from lifting 3 pounds and then pick up a 25-pound weight the next day. You're going to get hurt. Your stomach's going to get upset. You're going to be constipated.
Right.
So I like to know where they are right now before we set any levels. And then depending on what that information, because it's so personal, nutrition is so personal to all of us. Like what you need to eat is not necessarily what I need to eat, what our friends need to eat. And then we move from there. Once we actually have facts, data, then sometimes I bump them up and we go slowly. So it doesn't feel like you're not feeling stuffed. You're not feeling overfed. But we get to a place that's going to support, their muscles and their bones, and as well as help with satiety, because that's what protein also helps us do when we have it at every meal, not have those cravings mid-afternoon or those late night binges. A lot of that is women who aren't eating enough protein. You go mid-afternoon going, oh, I need more food. I need more food.
Lifting weights. You kind of touched on it already, but I know we all raised and grew up in that like cardio culture. You hear like lift heavy, but like that can be different for different people. So in that way, like how do you then coach your clients, especially for someone who's never picked up a weight before?
I think first thing is just start. And you could start body weight. Remember, body weight is weight, especially lower body squats. If you haven't been squatting and bending those knees, let's start with a body weight squat. Let's start with if push-ups, are challenging for a lot of women. They're still challenging for me, but a push-up against the wall, almost anyone can do. Start there and work your way up. I teach a menopause and muscles class, a strength training class.
Fun.
And when new women come to my class, I basically say to them, I go, I want you to leave today and it should feel like you didn't work out at all. Like, I don't want you to get strained. Like, do not look to the woman to the left and right of you. Some of these people have been here for a few years and can lift, much heavier. It's heavy for you. So if you can do, and this is just an example, like 3 sets of 10 bicep curls and you feel fine, that's probably too light. If, it's heavy for where you're at. So then I would go up. Like, so if you're lifting 5-pound weights, next time use 10. When those last 2 to 3 are a challenge, you're probably in the sweet spot, right?
Okay.
When that becomes easier, when you can get through 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 12 and you're doing is the same on the 12th rep as you're doing on the second rep, you got to go heavier. It's called progressive overload. You can go up in weight, you can go up in reps, and it's heavy for you. And now we've seen a lot of studies that what the weight you're actually holding does not matter as much as your proximity to failure at the end of the rep. So you can like bicep curl 3-pound weights. You might need to do 50 or 60 curls to get there. But that will have the same effect as if you're holding 20-pound weights and can only do 4. You know what I mean? It's like, it's where the failure is. Because sometimes, like, even I have to tell myself, like, I'm in the gym, like, yes, I want to put on muscle, but I'm also doing this for me to live a highly functional life for as long as I can. I don't want to injure myself. So I can be competitive. I can see, oh, someone else lifted XYZ. But you know what? Maybe going up is not the right. Maybe it's going a little like lifting heavier, but I can lift slower, which puts more time under tension, which has that same progressive overload. There's so many ways to do it. It's heavy for you.
Got it.
Start slow and work your way up because like we said, we're doing this for strength and overall functional longevity and independence. You don't want, and getting hurt is going to just slow everything down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know. And it is funny. The older you get, the more that becomes a concern. The goal then is to continue to push yourself for that overload that you're talking about. And if you are consistently lifting weights, that number goes up. That's a really good gauge because I think that is probably for me at this point where I struggle is, could I do more? Am I challenging myself enough at this point?
And sometimes you just have to try the more. Let's add 10 to this. And if 10 is impossible, then I know, okay, I'm going to take it off and I just go back to think more reps instead of going up in weight. Until then, that becomes easier. Like the longer you've been lifting, the slower going it is.
Got it. That's good to understand. You mentioned when you're tracking your food, it's not so much counting calories anymore. Are we looking more at macros now when you're talking about protein? And what's your take on all of that?
My take is that it all goes together. Like, yes, it is about the calories and that calories are overall how much energy you're consuming. Like if we start looking at calories as energy and not something like I was always like, it's about calories means weight. You know what I mean? In my head, which I had to unwind that. But it's really just a unit of energy. So it's how much energy you're bringing in and out. So your total amount is always going to add up to your caloric intake. Macros are our 3 macronutrients, our proteins, our carbohydrates, and our fat. And by kind of coming down a level and look at it, macros really helps you build a balanced plate. We want protein, carbs, and healthy fats and fiber. And fiber will come from your carbs. Yes, fiber comes from carbs. Stop skipping carbs, ladies. And that's what's going to get you where you want to go. You know, and then that obviously adds up to your total calories. People have been so scared about calories and like keeping our calories low, and it takes that away, but you're still tracking calories, even if it's you're just looking at your individual macronutrient totals.
Intermittent fasting. I know that's one of those things that you hear all different opinions. I feel like I've read the pros and the cons. So in terms of your expertise in perimenopause, menopause nutrition, what's your take?
Well, so intermittent fasting is just a timed eating schedule, right? In the way that's now being promoted, you know, you don't eat till noon, you stop eating at 6. I let all that go. It just did not work for me. It did not work for my body. I now like to eat within an hour, hour and a half after I get up. Then I'm done like at dinner for the most time, unless we're out somewhere, we're in a restaurant, you know what I mean? I'm probably done eating by 7 on most days. But that's like not a hard and fast rule. That's just what works for my body. I also find that, you know, like we talked about, food is energy. I need energy for my day, and how my day stacks up. It's better for me to eat a bigger breakfast and a bigger lunch because I'm going to work out in the morning, because I'm going to walk. I play tennis. I'm coaching clients. Like I don't want to crash at 3:00. So it's just about that energy balance. And I think for anyone who is intermittent fasting, in the way that's kind of out there now, the 8 hours of eating and the rest, you're not. Make sure you're getting enough food during that time. The food always comes first. That can be a stress. If you're not getting enough food, it's an added stress on your body. And perimenopause is a stress on your body. Like your body's going through a lot. There's a lot of natural stressors. The age that we're at, you know, a lot of women are, working women. Children, parents are doing stuff like, there's the extracurricular things that are going on. That's all stress too. And the best way to support your body is by eating enough, and it will actually help your stress response. So I'm kind of like, if you're going to do it, it should be no more than 12-12, which is just eating. Like you eat during the day, you don't eat it at night.
Got it. Yeah.
Which is just a day, you know? So like, that's where I stand on it.
Okay. No, I think that's really helpful. I mean, and I think you've kind of touched on that. It's so individualized. It's what works best for your body. But I think it's at this phase when we're all just trying to figure out what does that mean for me? It's nice to have some guidance and guideline in terms of, what is typically good for a woman at this age and stage.
And one of the things I like to say is like, healthy doesn't need to be that hard. We're making everything so hard, so eat for you, but you do need to eat. I do recommend that women have something in the morning. And I know there's people out there listening and they're going to go, well, I'm never hungry in the morning. Not being hungry is a little bit of a red flag. Like we should be hungry in the morning, like our natural biorhythms. You don't have to have like a giant feast, but once you start eating in the morning, and then at lunch, and then dinner, and maybe you need a snack in the afternoon. Like we're not going to vilify snacks. Some people need an early evening snack. It helps them sleep through the night better. So it's like I was saying, it's so personal. I can't really go, here's what you do.
Got it.
will figure out what works for you. You might need to experiment a little bit. It's more flexible than most people realize.
Got it. Well, that's so good to know, because I think that can be a deterrent to even get started when it feels overwhelming to try to fit into
and start small. Like literally, if you're making changes to what you eat, pick one thing. Like if you're not a big protein person, pick one meal and make sure there's protein at it. And once that becomes totally commonplace, go to your second meal. Once you're nailing 2 meals, add your third. It does not have to be all or nothing. A little something can be incredibly powerful.
Okay. I want to touch back on the muscle mass, especially in perimenopause. Let's go back to the importance of this. I think it does kind of tie into the protein and the nutrition part of it. Why is it so important that we're building muscle in this phase?
Well, as we age, we lose muscle just naturally. It's going to happen. Muscles help your metabolism. Your metabolism is all the biochemical processes in your body. I think so many women think about metabolism in terms of weight loss, like, oh, she's a fast metabolism. She can eat whatever she wants. But it's so much more. It's all the systems that are keeping you alive. Muscle is going to keep you mobile. It connects all your body parts, right? It's going to keep you upright and independent for as long as possible. The more lean mass you have, the more you got to eat. Muscle's expensive. You need to feed it. And also, if you're someone in perimenopause and his body's changing, and like we know, like weight can come flying on during this time, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of us, and we don't like it. The more muscle you have, the better you're able to burn fat. So it will help in that aspect of not only your overall health, but I struggle with sometimes talking about, because I want to get out of this diet mentality, but like aesthetic changes aren't bad. You know what I mean? I like the shoulder muscles I have. I like when I can see them. So sometimes I do a deficit because as I've gained muscle, like muscle and body fat go together. They come down together, they go up together. For your overall functional, how you're going to be existing, for me, when you're 80, like, I know 80-year-olds who are doing everything and doing it better than I am now at mid 50s. And I know 80-year-olds that can't walk from the car to the house by themselves. How do you want those years to go?
Yeah, that's the part that I struggle with the most. Am I feeding myself in a way that's fueling the muscles so that they can
do what they need to do? Like I joke, I don't work out to eat, because that was probably how I was thinking in my 20s and 30s. But now I totally eat to work out. I'm all about life is about balance, and everything is good in moderation. You will have a better workout. You might be able to go up in weight, especially if you're hitting, and in this case, it's your carbohydrates you don't want to be skipping on. Yes, protein builds the muscle, but carbs give you the energy to lift and lift heavy for you. So we don't want to be leaving those off the plate.
Okay. That's all good, keeping that all. When you're coaching someone, do you typically have any recommendations when it comes to alcohol consumption?
This is a great topic. Here's the thing. As we age women, we don't metabolize alcohol as well as we used to. So there's a reason that like you had 1 glass of wine at 8:00 and you felt hungover the next day. Like you're not imagining things. Our body just does not handle it well.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a toxin. That's a fact. If you're really trying to make changes, if you're especially any kind of fat loss, it will slow it all down for you. Your body's going to deal with that alcohol before it does anything else with your food and, using, burning fat and all that stuff. How do you want to feel is what I tell them. Like I give them all the information.
Yeah.
I don't say you can't. You're in charge of your own body. You make your own choices. I know personally, I have stepped way, way back just because sleep for me is so critical now. Like we talk, like there's women that come to me, like I'm, a nutrition coach. But we talk about sleep as much as we talk about anything else. And if I have a glass or two, I wake up in the middle of the night and I don't sleep.
I'm with you. Same.
And I'm like, you know what? I also think there's a way to be social. I grew up in a time where it was always drinking, keg parties, you know what I mean? Like college and like all this stuff. You look back, we were not taught moderation. It wasn't European. We're like, yes, we have wine with meals, but it's a glass and it takes us an hour and a half to drink the glass. Here it's pour, pour, pour. So
Yeah.
there's some mindset around that. I think there's a lot of ways to be social without alcohol. You just got to give people the real information. You got to make a choice for yourself. Because I know a lot of people who are done with it entirely. People like me who it's rarer and rarer now that they have alcohol just because they don't want to deal with it's not worth it.
Right.
I know if I don't get enough sleep, I feel like I'm hungover where there's no alcohol involved at all. So for me, sleep is the queen right now. Yeah.
Totally. Love that. That's such a great way to put it. One of my big things is having these conversations without judgment. People have different reasons for doing different things if you choose not to have alcohol, but for people who still enjoy and maybe their bodies can still handle a little wine or a cocktail here and there. So I like that. It's how do you want to feel?
Right.
Can kind of maybe be your guide.
And being mindful of how you're consuming it. Is it paired with a meal? Is it enhancing your experience? Or are you using it you could use other things, food or workout, to deal with other issues in your life that maybe you need to deal with some emotional stuff.
Right.
And we're taking it out on a run or weightlifting rather than having a hard conversation or is it just blind habit? Because I know back in my 30s, making dinner, pour a glass of wine. And I'm I'm not even tasting it or really savoring it or even thinking if I want it.
Yes.
Because it was just 6 o'clock, boom, it's an automatic response almost.
Yeah. No, and that's so true. And then it wasn't until getting a little bit older and it starting to affect sleep that I even questioned whether or not that was a good habit.
Or once I was I don't even have a taste for this and I'm doing it. It's like walking by and there's a bag of chips out and I love potato chips. This is not disparaging the potato chip, but you're not hungry, not tasting it, just doing it, just being mindful of what we eat changes the game. If it's bringing you joy, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I love that. Do you find that there are specific supplements that you see a big benefit to? Do you think right now it's all kind of overhyped? If you're eating well and you're eating what you're supposed to be eating, do you need to have supplements?
I love that how you phrase that question. For me, supplements are remember you're back in college and you have your main reading, you have your class, and then you have your supplemental reading. If you do just the main reading and don't take a supplement, you're going to pass the class. You'll probably do very well. If you add a supplement, the supplemental reading, you'll gain even more knowledge. You'll be better versed in everything. If you're just doing the supplemental reading, you're going to fail the class.
Got it.
And I know a lot of women, because it's being marketed and hyped, someone's oh, I'm taking creatine, blah, blah, blah. And creatine is great. It's very safe. It's, it's being studied. And I'm well, are you lifting weights? And they're well, no, it's not doing anything. It's not doing.
Got it.
So I vitamin D is recommended for a lot of, in fact, I kind of stopped it in my most recent blood work. My doctor was your vitamin D is really low. I'm oh, maybe that's why I'm in such a bad mood all the time too. And sure enough, she gave me a big old supplement I took when I felt better. I think magnesium glycinate at night, it's helped me sleep. It helps my muscle recovery. Those are the two kind of the only ones I take right now, supplement wise. I do electrolytes in the morning. I do sleep warm these days. We do get dehydrated even if you're not menopausal and warmer than you used to be during the night. So I add that to my first glass of water. And then I only use the electrolytes if I'm playing tennis and in a match and it's super hot and sweaty. But we don't need as many as I think is being sold to us. I mean, if you're not sweating a ton and working out, you're probably fine with just drinking water.
I love your analogy about the supplemental. I mean, I think that is the perfect analogy. Another one of those big conversation starters is if you're eating the right nutrition and working out and sleeping and doing all these things, that you should not need HRT and that HRT is kind of the scam. Then I've heard the opposite. HRT is helping so many women. Do you have an opinion? Do you have any advice for a woman who's on the fence and debating what to go that route?
I think that's a conversation you should have with your doctor. Okay. I feel those are I don't think, to me, HRT does not fall in the supplement conversation.
Uh-huh.
Because they're hormones that are naturally in our body. And during menopausal transition, postmenopause, we lose almost all of our estrogen. And what a lot of women don't know is that we have estrogen receptors through our entire body. It's not just a sex hormone. It's just not about our menstrual cycle and pregnancy. It affects our heart. There's estrogen receptors in our heart, which is why when usually a lot of women see their cholesterol potentially rise after, though they've changed nothing about the way they eat. It controls our cholesterol. Brain fog starts happening because estrogen receptors in our brain aren't getting what they need. So one, it's a personal conversation. It's very unique to everyone. I personally take it. It's helped me feel better.
Yeah.
And I know we're now moving away from the term HRT, hormone replacement, to menopause hormone treatment, because we're not looking to replace. We're just looking to get a baseline where you're not having severe vasomotor symptoms. You're not having hot flashes and night sweats, heart palpitations, that your brain fog and your mood, where you store belly fat also changes. We have 3 types of estrogen in our body, and the lowest one, the third one, comes from your fat cells.
Oh.
So that kind of is like one of the reasons we kind of plump up abdominally during
Uh-huh.
that time. So I don't think food does it all. I think food does a lot. But to answer your original question, you could be right on the freaking, money with everything and still get knocked on your ass during, and it's different for every woman. There can be someone who's not taking care of themselves at all and sail through. Like, we don't know why certain women experience this transition different ways. So I say advocate for yourself. I mean, and then there's women also who can't take hormone therapy for various reasons, or it doesn't, not even just risk of breast cancer, or if they've already experienced breast cancer or other things like that, but it just doesn't work for them. It makes them, their body doesn't agree with it. So like I said, I take it. It has helped me. I also, it's not a universal thing, and it's not a failure
Yeah.
if you take it or you choose not to take it. I think that's like like you said, there's like a battle going on a little bit. And it's
Right.
almost, it reminds me of like the working mom, stay at home mom. I'm like, no,
Yes.
like, can we just
Right.
let it go? Do what's best for you
Yes.
and
Yeah,
work with a medical provider that you trust, that knows what they're doing. Go find someone that will have an in-depth, informed discussion with you, and also does not push, but informs.
Yes.
Either
I
way.
love that. So true.
Yeah.
And we're talking about having all of this information at
Yeah.
our fingertips online, and then you factor in people who are making these bold, controversial claims
Yeah.
purposely to, increase their engagement. I loved what you said about kind of going back and figuring out what are they selling at the end of
Yeah.
it. That is one thing I've seen. It's like, HRT is a scam, and you can eat your way healthy.
But then
And
they're selling something. They're
yes,
selling a supplement.
there's
They have a magical tea that will
Yes.
help you lose 15 pounds in 15 days.
right. Right now, you and I are living in this space where we're
Yeah.
talking to a lot of experts, and we're getting all of this fantastic information and talking about this. And there are a lot of women out there who this is not part of their day to day. So
Right.
it's very easy to become susceptible then when you're just scrolling through and
Right.
maybe feeling like, oh, I'm not doing this right, or I'm obviously failing because I feel terrible and I
Right.
must not be taking care of myself.
I know. Like it said, it's so much simpler. It's hard that it's boring and you have to do a day in, day out for the rest of your life. Eat 3 meals a day that are well balanced. Like that's where we fall there, because you're like, oh, I don't want to make dinner again. I get it.
Right.
But a phrase that I learned getting my nutrition certification is scope of practice. I'm not a doctor. I might say go have a conversation, but like an influencer with a discount code, you should not be getting medical advice from. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with anything, not a doctor. So think about that. What is their scope? Who are they? And just because someone looks a certain way doesn't mean they're healthy or knowledgeable about health.
That's a great point. Some people are just naturally
Right.
don't
Naturally have abs. Some people put on muscle really easy. I do
right.
not put on muscle. Like I joke, like I'll flex and I'm like, but there's a muscle there. Like, I'm like, do I need to
Right.
contour this? Like, I'm like on the filter. My white Irish arms are like, no, I will never have defined abs. I
Mhm.
don't think it's just not there. I joke with my friends and my clients. I'm like, every woman you know with a six pack, you know them because you've seen it. And I'm like, God bless them. If I had a six pack, I would wear, like a crop top constantly. I go,
Right?
but look at everyone else whose stomach you never see. There's more of us than them.
Exactly. That's so
Don't
true.
let that trip you up.
That's such a good point. What would you say women should be doing right now in order to set themselves up for healthy aging?
I go back to what are you eating? How much
Mhm.
are you eating? Fuel your body, feed your body to fuel your life. I keep saying, like, don't be scared of food. A balanced plate, move,
Mhm.
walking is
Okay.
running, any kind like you don't have to kill yourself, but walking is incredibly good. We get very sedentary during these years. We tend to
Okay.
slow down and move less because we're working, we're driving in a car, we're ferrying kids around. So, like, make sure you're moving. Get your sleep. Sleep is the master metabolic regulator. If you can get 7 hours, fantastic. If you can get more, even better. And I know there might be stuff keeping you awake. Like we touched on the alcohol of it already.
Mhm.
You may not be able to go to bed as early as you can if you're waiting up for teen to get home at night, but do your, best, shut off screens, get off your phone and give
Mhm.
yourself some grace. It's a season of life. We go through different seasons and I don't think we women give ourselves the grace we deserve.
I totally agree, and I think that is something that we continue to do through every phase.
We don't have to throw it all in or berate ourselves because you didn't get to the gym this week because XYZ happened, or you had ice cream for dinner because that's the only thing you can manage. It's like one little drop in the bucket. Like, let yourself big picture it. It's a moment in time. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. So I just started this with my last podcast guest, and it was kind
Okay.
of fun. So I thought we could do the same thing, the little rapid fire questions.
Oh, okay.
Um, the most overrated wellness trend that you're seeing right now.
Weighted vests.
Okay.
That's where I land on that. Yeah.
All right. I love it. Underrated habit.
Sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. What is your favorite healthy breakfast?
Ooh, I love a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. You know what I mean? Whole grain bread, eggs, put some bacon on. I don't always have bacon because I don't want to make bacon in the morning,
Right.
but like if
So
there's
true.
avocado on there, great. If not, some sort, a different type of healthy fat. Like I'm like it's all in one and it's
Mhm.
quick. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Um, one thing every woman over 40 should do tomorrow.
Ooh, eat 3 meals and a snack.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like it. Biggest misconception about menopause?
That it's the end. That it's really going to suck. And it might suck for some people, like we don't have control, or like, I don't want to minimize if you're listening and you're like, it's been a hellish nightmare, because it
Mhm.
can. But if you take, like everything we talked about today
Mhm.
will only make things better. You know what I mean? And I think it's incredibly freeing. Like, I know I've hit a point where I say no without struggling about it.
Mhm.
I know what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And I don't want to say never do what I don't want to do, but like
Mhm.
rarely, where in my 40s or 30s, I would do the things I didn't want to do.
Mhm.
Um, it's like it's funny. It's like as your body's changing and all this stuff, like your heart and mind and spirit gets stronger than ever.
That is something that I love about this age. So many women listening feel like they have lost themselves in this phase of life. What is one small thing they can do this week to help reconnect with themselves and with their health?
You know what's, and it's like woo woo and kind of, weird, but it's really helped me. Just like a daily affirmation. I
Mm.
know what's helped me just in saying it out loud. And if
Mhm.
you want to like say it out loud in the mirror, looking at yourself, which feels really bizarre,
Mhm.
especially if you're something like, no, but like, I know for me, like I deserve to take up space. I
Ah,
deserve to take the time to eat.
yeah.
Um, and like literally writing it down somewhere you can see, it's just a
Yeah.
season. I'm just you know what I mean? My body deserves to change. It's okay that my body changes. It
Mhm.
really starts helping you love yourself a little bit, more.
I love it. I'm all
Yeah.
about the woo-woo these days too. The more
I'm
woo-woo.
getting more woo woo. I'm getting more.
Right?
Before I'd be like, what? Like in my
Yeah.
20s. And now I'm like, you know what?
Mhm.
Enough things have happened,
Mhm.
enough alignment, enough meeting women who you're like, yeah, the
Mhm.
energy's here. This is good. Surrounding yourself with goodness, and just talking to yourself like you'd talk to your best friend.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I do. I agree.
Yeah.
That's so
Because we
true.
don't.
Yeah.
We say things to ourselves that we would never say to our daughter, to our friend, to
Mhm.
anyone, but we could be so horrible to ourselves. Why do we do that? Like, where did that start? Probably a
Yeah.
whole nother podcast.
Right? 100%. And I agree. The name of the podcast, Nowhere Near Done.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? And
I love the name, first of all. We have so much more to do. Like,
Mhm.
fun stuff to do. I mean, work like I'm in my like third act career wise, and there's so much still to learn and world to see and experience.
thank you so much for spending so much time with me.
Thank you for having me.
That was menopause nutrition coach Kristin Collins. Thank you so much for listening to today's conversation. One of the reasons I wanted to have Kristin on the podcast is because I think so many of us are exhausted by trying to do everything right. We've counted calories, we've chased smaller bodies, we've spent years believing that if we just worked harder or had more willpower, we'd finally get there. But maybe this season is asking something different of us. Maybe it's asking us to nourish ourselves instead of punish ourselves, to build strength instead of simply trying to lose weight, to fuel our bodies so we can live bigger, fuller lives, not just smaller ones. That's one of the biggest things I hope you take away from today's episode. As always, my hope with Nowhere Near Done is that these conversations help women feel informed, empowered, and a little less alone as we navigate this season together. We don't have to have all the answers, but we can learn from each other, ask better questions, and support one another along the way. If this episode resonated with you, would you mind doing me a favor? Share it with another woman in your life who could use this conversation. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. Leave a rating and review, and let me know what stood out to you. Those small actions make a huge difference in helping more women discover Nowhere Near Done and become part of this community. You can also find me on Instagram, where we're continuing these conversations every day. I'd love to hear what resonated with you from today's episode. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in yourself. And remember, you are nowhere near done. We'll see you next time.